ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is my co-host Teddy, and today we're reviewing a CPU cooler. It's this guy right here. This is the Scythe Ninja 5. And as you can tell already, boy, this is a big CPU cooler, and it's an absolute beast. So before we jump into this review, I just want to say, if you haven't checked out my new history channel, go check that out. It's called The History Lounge. We put up the first video, my first ever history video, and that was about Alexander the Great. I'm very happy with how it turned out, and I'm going to be putting in a lot of effort to my history videos over on that channel. It's something I'm very passionate about. But let's talk about this guy. And let's start with the key features then. So as you can tell, this has a very, very big heatsink. And when it comes to any sort of CPU coolers, you know, bigger is always better. You want a big heat sink or a big radiator, whatever you like to call it. That's always going to be helpful. It's coming with 6 heat pipes. That's a decent amount there. That's good. Has great RAM compatibility. I tried this with the tallest RAM I have, and it's just fine. There's no issues here with RAM compatibility. There's nice big cutouts there, so even if you have really tall RAM, it shouldn't be an issue for you at all. It works really nicely with it. Now it's coming with 2 Kaze Flex 120mm fans. These are in a push-pull configuration, so you can see this front one here. So this will push the air in, and this one in the back, obviously it's facing the other way, and that will pull the air out. And you'll have your rear fan, you know, behind this one if you've set up your case properly, and that will then exit all of that hot air out the rear of your case. So it's a good configuration they have with these guys. And compatibility-wise, it'll be compatible with all the Intel chips, so everything on the mainstream platform and on the Enthusiast platform. For AMD though, it's only going to be for the mainstream stuff, so for most of you guys that will mean AM4, but no TR4 compatibility. So if you're running a Threadripper CPU, unfortunately this guy will not be compatible with it. That's not particularly odd considering that many Threadripper coolers are sort of just made for Threadripper. You know, there's not many coolers that are made for Threadripper and everything else, just because those CPUs are so massive if you were not aware. Now, installation-wise, with many CPU coolers, especially air coolers like this, they can be an absolute pain to install. This guy was pretty good. Like, honestly, it's pretty good. Obviously, liquid coolers are generally easier to install, but as far as air coolers go, this guy was solid. I didn't have any issues with it. A lot of times, they're like, the middle and the edges here is like razor sharp. Like what I'm doing right now, like running my finger across. You guys that have installed a big air cooler before, this will make you like sweaty palms right now. Because you're like, oh my god, it's like running your finger across a razor blade. But honestly, with this guy, look, it's not that sharp. I can run my fingers across it, no cuts. Some of these are like razor sharp on other coolers, so that's really good to see. If you don't understand why that's a big thing, you will eventually. But not if you buy this one, because you won't cut yourself on them. But guys like me that have been enthusiasts for years, you know. So yeah, good, doesn't cut you like that. Easy to install, especially fastening the cooler down to the CPU. You can just use a long screwdriver, which is provided along with thermal paste, down through here. Nice and easy. So that's really good. So installation overall, not a problem. I thought it was easy enough, and I didn't have any issues with it there. So how does it actually perform then? So I tested it with my i9 9900K, and if you do not know, the 9900K is an 8-core CPU, runs up to 5 gigahertz, and boy, does it get hot. It really, really does. It's a very, very hot running CPU. TDP hovers around the 140 watt mark for the most part. So you need a decent cooler to get the most out of it. So with the Ninja 5 here, with its 6 heat pipes, it did a good job. So with the 9900K running at stock, you guys can see all those temperatures are fine. Like anything under 70 degrees Celsius with a 9900K on full load, that is a big win in my book. So very solid there. But then we went over and tried it with multi-core enhancement enabled. Well, that's a bit of a tongue twister. Multi-core enhancement enabled. So what's that? If you do not know, it basically, it's not really an overclock. I mean, it kind of is, it kind of isn't. There's been a lot of discussion about it. It basically means that the 9900K will not fluctuate between its base and turbo clock speeds. It'll basically just be fixed at its turbo clock speeds on all cores. So this is good. Obviously, it gives you better performance because that clock speed isn't going really up and down as much anyway. However, at the same time, it does mean that the CPU runs a lot hotter. And you can see here with multi-core enhancement enabled that the temps did go up quite a bit. And this is just standard. With whatever cooler you use, you'll see quite a decent uptick in temperatures when you turn on multi-core enhancement. So I wouldn't say that's particularly bad. Handbrake's always going to be the highest because that's a rendering test and it runs for the longest out of all of these tests. You know, so the heat builds up quite a bit more. But generally speaking, this is like worst case scenario. Remember, this is if you're doing like full load rendering. If you're playing a game, these temps will be nowhere near that high. Like not even close. Even if it's a demanding game on the CPU, lots of physics and stuff like that, it won't even come close. So this is kind of showing you the worst case scenario of how high it can be. So going up into the mid 80s, that's fine. Honestly, that's fine. That's not an issue at all. These CPUs are made to run up well into the 90s with no issues. So sitting at the mid 80s under load, full load in a rendering test, that's fine. So I have no issues with it there. As far as noise goes, I was really good. When you're just doing normal things, browsing the web, nothing, even a full load, it was very, very quiet. I couldn't hear anything, honestly. But don't take my word for it. So here is the Ninja 5 during the handbrake rendering test. So that gives you an idea of the noise there. Really good. No one would complain about it. I mean, that's with the side panel off. If you had your side panel on, I mean, you're not going to hear anything. So as far as the noise goes, I would say it's almost non-existent. You're never going to notice it, put it that way. Which brings us now to the conclusion. And what do I make of the Scythe Ninja 5 big boy CPU cooler? Yeah, so this thing's a beast. Yeah, no two ways about it. It's a beast of a CPU cooler. It really, really is. It'll be able to tame all of your mainstream CPUs. Definitely anything from the AMD side, no worries at all. And all your Intel mainstream CPUs. When you go up to the 2011 stuff, maybe it'll start having a few more issues, only because those CPUs are very, very hot running. But even then, I honestly think it should be able to tame most of them. But for all the mainstream ones, including the 9900K, which does have a notorious reputation for just being like a nuclear reactor, it's so hot, the Ninja 5 was just fine. Honestly, this is going to be very, very good for the vast majority of you guys out there. It was easy to install, wasn't noisy, and it came with, you know, decent thermal paste as well, which is always a plus. So yeah, good cooler. Honestly, this thing is really, really solid, guys. So I would recommend it to any of you guys out there. If you're just going to be running your CPU at stock speeds, I should say, then I would say something like this would be quite overkill, even if you're running the 9900K. I mean, maybe you could make the point of, if you're going to turn MCE on, then it could be beneficial. Sure, I would say that. But for anyone that's looking to overclock, definitely, you know, big coolers like this, a lot of people underestimate them and overestimate how much better liquid coolers are. Something like this would easily kill any of the 120 millimeter liquid coolers, that's for sure. So yeah, very good CPU cooler. Highly recommend it. Definitely check this guy out if you're looking to get a beast of a CPU cooler in the future. Now, I thank you guys for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, and like the video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.